Imagine that you have a superhero inside you called Spirit. This superhero is always fighting a villain called Flesh. Now, the flesh is that side of us that sometimes wants to do things that are not so good, like being selfish or fighting. The Spirit, on the other hand, helps us make good choices and be better people. In the Bible, in a part called Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 to 18, it's as if it's saying, if you follow your inner superhero, the Spirit, you won't end up doing the bad things that the flesh wants to do. It's like having an internal guide that helps you choose the right path. Also, some people think that all the problems and bad things people do are because of demons. But the Bible says that's not the case. For example, we don't need a demon to make us lie or disobey. Sometimes, these desires are already within us, in the flesh. So, the Bible lists a bunch of things that are considered works of the flesh, like being dishonest, fighting, being jealous, or even drinking too much. And it warns us that doing these things can keep us from living our best lives, in a way that would make God happy. In short, living well is like being in a constant battle between doing what makes us feel good at the time, even if it's bad, and choosing to do what's right. Even though it may be difficult at times, following the Spirit, our inner superhero, is the best way to live well and make good choices. Subscribe to our channel and stay up to date with all our videos. Imagine that you are like a superhero who has two sides. One side is your spirit, which has been renewed and wants to do good things and please God. The other side is your body, which sometimes wants to do things that aren't so good. It's like you have a little angel and a little devil talking to you. Even though you always want to do the right thing because your spirit has been renewed, your body will still want to do things that may not feel so good. This creates a kind of internal battle, as if your little angel and your little devil are always arguing about what you should do. In the Bible, in a part called Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 to 21, it talks about this battle. It says that you shouldn't just follow what your body wants because that can often lead to bad choices. Instead, you should try to follow your spirit. This means doing things that truly make you feel good and that also please God. For example, when the Bible says to walk by the Spirit, it is telling us to listen more to our little angel, our good side. This helps us not automatically do everything we want, especially if it's something our body wants but that we know isn't best. So, the big tip here is to always try to follow your good side, your renewed spirit. This can be a challenge, but it's like being a superhero who chooses the side of good in the fight between good and evil within you. Imagine that inside you there is an epic battle happening, like a duel between superheroes and villains. On one side is your spirit, which wants to do good and please God. On the other side is your body, which sometimes wants to do things just because they seem good or fun, but they may not be the best choices. For example, let's talk about sex. Sex is not a bad thing. In fact, it is a beautiful thing that God created so that a man and a woman who are married can show their love for each other. But sometimes, our body side wants to break out of the rules God has put in place, like waiting until we're married. That's where things get complicated. In the Bible, especially in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 15 to 17, it says that our bodies are very special because they are part of Christ, so we must take very good care of them. This means that we should not join our bodies with someone in a way that is not approved by God, such as being with someone who is not our husband or wife. So, it's super important to remember that while it's normal for the body to desire things like sex, we need to keep that desire within the clear rules God has given us, like being married. This helps to avoid problems in both our body and our spirit. Think of it as following the rules of a game so everyone can have fun without any problems. Imagine if you glued two pieces of paper together. After a while, if you try to pull them apart, they won't come loose easily and maybe even tear a little. That's more or less how it works when two people get together in a very intimate way, like when they date without thinking about serious commitment. When the Bible talks about two people becoming one flesh, it is saying that when you unite very closely with someone, it is as if the two of you become one, not just in body but in spirit as well. This happens because this type of relationship is very deep and strong, more than just being friends or go out to play together. Now, imagine two people who are together just for fun, without wanting a serious commitment, as in a friends with benefits relationship. They may think it's just fun, no problems, but in reality, they are creating a very strong bond that can be difficult to break. Even if they know it's not good for them, or that the relationship isn't going anywhere, it can be super difficult to break up. It's as if, without realizing it, they are married in a world we cannot see. That's why it's important to think carefully about who you want to have this type of connection with, because separating can be complicated, like trying to peel off those two pieces of paper. Imagine you have a favorite toy that you always take with you everywhere. Now, imagine that someone asks to play with him and ends up taking him away. You would miss it, right? This is more or less how it works when two people have a very intimate relationship without a serious commitment, like when they are friends with benefits. Even if it seems like just fun at first, over time it's common for one or both of you to start to feel more than just friendship. This happens because, even if they don't realize it, they are creating a very strong connection, not only physical but also spiritual. So, when the relationship ends, it can be really difficult, almost like losing a piece of yourself. It's like you feel a little lost, like you've really lost something very important. You know when people say that time heals everything? Well, that's not always true, especially when it comes to things of the heart and spirit. Even years later, you may find yourself thinking about that person. God created love and intimacy, and He truly cares about how we live these experiences. That's why in the Bible, God gives us clear guidelines on how this relationship should be between two people who truly commit to each other, as in marriage. God knows that living promiscuously can bring sadness and complications, and that is why He warns us to follow His advice. So, although it is normal and natural to want to love and be loved, God shows us the best way for this love to be healthy and true, protecting our heart and our spirit. Think about it like this. Inside you there are two forces that are always in a little dispute. One is the spirit, which wants to do good things, things that make God happy. The other is meat, who is a bit mischievous and wants to do things that are sometimes not so good. In the Bible, in Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 to 18, it's like super cool advice. If you choose to follow the Spirit, you won't end up doing the mischief that the flesh wants to do. The Spirit and the flesh don't want the same things, so they don't get along very well. It's like when you want to eat a lot of sweets before dinner, and your mom says it's not a good idea because it will ruin your hunger. If you hear the voice that says to wait until after dinner, you are following the Spirit. If you devour all the sweets, you are following the meat. And if you choose to follow the Spirit, it's like you don't need to worry so much about breaking the rules, because the Spirit will help you make such good choices that you'll naturally do the right thing.